There's a brand new Ford F-150 Lightning electric truck. They're having a hard time selling them. This particular one is a 2023. The 25 models are coming out, and this is still for sale on the lot. They're having a hard time selling them. Now, the first quarter of 2024, they sold 7,700 of these. In the same quarter, Tesla sold 380,000 of their vehicles. Ford has got a long way to go to play catch up. Now, it's no wonder that Ford, first quarter 2024, lost $130,000 for every electric vehicle they sold. The prices are coming down. This particular one, relatively loaded, and it's 60 grand on the sticker. The price is coming down, so they're losing even more money because they had to lower the price because people weren't buying them. Now, I looked up a Platinum F-150 of the same year. Locally, it was $20,000 more than this thing. It was like $89,000, almost $30,000 more. They had to lower the prices. Now, originally, when these were new and everybody was, oh, well, I saw many people pay over 100 grand for these things, right? Well, they made a bad decision, baby. God, unless they immediately sold them for 120 grand, you can pick up loaded ones now for 60 grand or less. And it says something. Now, it does have a lot of power, but it's a very heavy vehicle, too. This thing weighs 2,000 pounds more than this Mustang Mach-E. It's a very heavy vehicle. It can tow a lot, but say you're towing 11,000 pounds. You can forget the range. I knew a guy who did that. He went from Rhode Island to New Hampshire. They're very close states. He had to charge that thing up 3 times to make it there because electric motors were not made for pulling heavy weights. This thing's heavy enough as it is. It's like 6,800 pounds. It weighs pretty much exactly the same as the Cybertruck. If you haven't seen my Cybertruck video and you want a good laugh, watch that. Well, this thing weighs about the same. But I gotta say, it doesn't look like a waste basket. When your fans sent me a picture of Tesla, then they had one of those aluminum waste baskets. It looked exactly the same. You know, this looks like a truck because they pretty much built it on F-150. I mean, look, it doesn't even say anything about electricity on the front. It says Ford F-150 XLT. You got to go to the back to see the lightning on it, right? And of course, it's got all the power outlets and everything. You can plug it into your house and stuff. And it's a real pickup. It is a pickup truck. It's not a Cybertruck. And even loaded, this thing is 40 grand less than what you're actually going to pay for a Cybertruck. Cybertrucks are just a toy. People like buying toys. Nutty people buy them. Even though they're an actual truck, they're having a hard time selling them. It has super cool graphics. Look at the graphics. We're going to start it up. Of course, it won't do much because it's an electric vehicle. And check it out. It's got a real screen. So, just like the Mustang Mach-E, you got real turn signals. You don't have to search for stuff. You want to turn the headlights on, you use a regular headlight switch. Hey, hurrah! It's just like a regular Ford. Now, it's got a screen. I do have to say, this screen is better. In the Mustang Mach-E, it was one of those ugly, intrusive, rectangular jobs sticking out. Watch my video on the Mustang Mach-E and you'll see. This is flowing with the dash. It's not ugly. And look, flashers. There they are. You just push it. You don't have to go through 8 million different sources to get things to work. Got all kinds of power outlets you can plug stuff into. Nice big old glove box. Here we have Biden lying about his past. And it's a real pickup. It doesn't have no stinking sunroof. We don't need a sunroof in a pickup truck, people. Let's put it in reverse. Take it for a spin. Like I say, I love that camera because we got a skinny driveway at the end when we got a bunch of vehicles parked. And it's doing a very good job. And we can see my neighbor's mailbox there. See, it knows we're not going to hit the mailbox. Now, I was underwhelmed by the Mustang Mach-E long-range battery version that I just drove. I was underwhelmed by the acceleration. I was not impressed whatsoever. This thing weighs 2,000 pounds more than that, so we're going to take it out and see what it does. Now, being that it's a modern-day Ford, it's got a lot of aluminum on it, they handle quite well compared to old pickup trucks. They ride a lot smoother. My wife used to say, don't ever get me one of those pickups to drive around. I can't stand them. She rides in these. She doesn't care. They ride much smoother, the newer Ford pickups. All you hear is the whirring and the tires going down the road. There they are, burning wood, cutting down the trees, and building more suburban houses. So we look here. Let's step on and see what it does. It's got a lot more acceleration than the Mach-E did, even though the thing weighs 2,000 pounds more. Well, look, Billy Bob, there's an electric truck in the cornfield. Okay, now you want to pass them. We're going 37. Let's floor it. Look how fast it got up to 70 miles an hour. It got some get up and go for a heavy truck. I do have to say the build quality is high. I don't hear creaks, rattles. The panels all fit. This was made in Dearborn, Michigan. They did a good job putting it together. It's just that, as far as I'm concerned, an electric pickup truck is not what most people want in a pickup truck. You got F-150 fans going back generations. They want solid reliability, something they can stick out in the cornfield, go out fishing. They get stuck. They get out. They run out of gas. They put some more gas in it. Who knows how to work on these things? Ford even had a deal where they were trying to force all the dealers to spend $1 million something each to retrain people to work on electric vehicles and to put in electric chargers. Well, even Ford gave up with that and said, oh, all you guys can sell these electric cars and trucks now. We got to get these things out. Because, hey, this thing's almost 2 years old. It's still new. No one's bought it. And really, other than being an electric truck, I don't have that many bad things to say about it. I like the layout. The build quality is really good, but it's an electric pickup truck. Do Americans really want electric pickup trucks? Well, like I said, they only sold like 8,000 of them or so the first quarter of 2024. They got a long way to go. The weird thing is they say the factory in Dearborn, they think it's going to be able to produce 150,000 of these a year. Well, if they're only selling 8,000 or 9,000 every quarter, if they make 150,000, they sell 36,000, they're going to be in deep doo-doo. I mean, as we drive around, you know, there's no problem driving it. It handles good. It's smooth. It's got a nice pickup. It's just not something that most people who want a truck, especially a full-size Ford F-150, are going to buy. Now they're building more for the airport. Everything's expanding here. I mean, really, it's a nice cruising truck. I got nothing against the way it rides and runs. It's just that. It is an electric pickup truck. And for example, last winter, Ford came up with a list of 10 things you need to do in the winter to make it last longer. Pre-decondition the battery, park it in a heated garage, plug it in at night. I mean, how many people have heated garages or want to deal with? Oh, don't turn the heat on. Use the heated grips on the steering wheel and the heated seat and wear a coat and gloves. Hey, I like it. It's set up like a regular truck. It's got a screen, but you don't have to deal with the screen. Everything you need to know, it's happening in front of you here. Got a regular turn signal. It's not some crazy space age thing that you need to be a computer whiz to figure out how to operate the stupid screen to make everything work. And if you're into roller coasters, I mean, listen. It kind of sounds like a roller coaster going up and down. So much like the electric Volvo that I reviewed last year, I kind of like this vehicle. If it wasn't an electric vehicle, I would like it. But it is an electric vehicle, and the rest of America kind of agrees with me. This is a 2023. It's now basically a 2-year-old model, and it hasn't been sold yet. It's not something that people want. People didn't want electric Harley Davidsons. People don't particularly want electric F-150s. It's the same thing. Now, both companies were smart. Harley Davidson split their electric vehicle off from their regular ones, and Ford also split their electric vehicle division from the Ford regular gasoline and diesel division. So they kind of saw the handwriting on the wall. They weren't that dumb. They were dumb to try it the way they tried it, yes. But they were smart enough not to make it drag the whole company down. Now, just like Tesla, it's got a frunk, and interestingly enough, got a built-in 400-liter cooler. And it's got a drain, too. You can fill with ice and have drinks. I mean, it's very handy. All electric cars are pretty much the same. They got a big giant battery on the bottom. If it ran the electric car, when you touch the body, you would be electrocuted. So everything starts off of that tiny little 12-volt battery, then sends info to computers, and they decide to start transformers working, and then it runs off the big battery. If that little battery goes bad, it won't start. They gotta do that, otherwise it's too dangerous. Now, for those of you who were whining when I was talking about the Tesla Cybertruck, saying, what does Scotty know about electric vehicles? He's been working on gasoline and diesel vehicles for 56 years. Well, let me tell you something. I'm an old dog, but I can learn new tricks. Lately, I've been using these Autel scanners. They're great scanners. And as you can see, they do EVs and regular one. They got all the tools to work on EVs. I know quite a bit about EVs. That's one of the reasons I'm not buying one. I just don't like electric vehicles because of the hassles that they are. They're fine for running around doing small things. You want a big truck to do small errands? Fine. You want to go cross country? You probably end up like customer of mine in Pennsylvania who said, after the lease is up, goodbye. I'm going to get a 4Runner or something to replace it with a gasoline engine because it's too much hassle dealing with all this electronic nonsense. The Mustang Mach-E extended range. Fancy one, the MSRP is $59,980. And if you haven't guessed by now, I'm not really an electric car fan. I'd never pay 60 grand for a car, especially an electric car. I'm not a big electric car fan. But right off the bat, you can tell they got a problem selling because both of these vehicles were made in the middle of 2023. It is now the middle of 2024. It's a little bit over the middle. They're not selling these things. These are both new vehicles. Nobody's owned them yet. And if you followed the pricing of them over time, you realize one thing. Ford's dropping the prices dramatically in the real world too, because before they used to have list prices and then they'd get 20, 50, 100 over. Some guys were paying over 100 grand for the Lightnings. They were just paying whatever because they wanted to get their hands on it. Well, those days are gone. For example, in the first quarter of 2024, Ford lost $130,000 for every electric vehicle they sold. Ford split into Ford Motor Company and Ford Electric Motor Company. They don't want to ruin the big company by having electric cars bring them down, so now they're separate legal entities. That tells you they're having a problem selling these things. I'll talk more about the truck in another video, but as for the Mustang Mach-E, the first thing you can tell is, even though it's got a pony on the front, there's the pony, you can see it's actually a compact SUV. There is so much competition in the compact SUV segment, it will make your head spin. I've seen people buy Mazdas instead of a Toyota. And I'd say, what, a Toyota RAV4s are really good. And they'd say, yeah, well, they were 15, 20 grand more than the Mazda, and the Mazda was perfectly fine for me. So there is so much competition. Even Toyota has shut down production of some of their smaller SUVs because they can't compete with the world market. And let's think, SUVs, right? Soccer moms, things like that. They want convenience. They want to be able to go all over the place. Range anxiety is a gigantic thing with an SUV. SUVs are made that way for what? Ultimate convenience. Take my wife's Matrix. That thing's 17 years old. It still gets 37 miles a gallon. It still looks new, right? It can go 500 something miles on a tank of gas. They estimate this to be about 300 miles, so quite a bit less. And of course, it's an electric car. You can't stop at a gas station and fill it up anytime you want. People that buy SUVs want convenience. They don't want to have to put their lifestyle into an electric car. Now, on the other hand, I know a 22-year-old who just bought one of these because he likes going fast, right? But let's think about it. SUVs are not notorious for being a vehicle that needs to go super fast. Now, let's face the facts. They're convenient. Families, you shouldn't be driving like a maniac with your kids in the back seat. So, the intended market of a compact SUV, people with kids and families, is kind of negated by making an electric car that's less convenient. The whole thing is more convenience, not less. Now, you gotta say, it's a nice looking car. They look a lot better than they did originally. Their style has increased. There's no doubt in that. So let's check inside, and it's got the old push button. Just realized first quarter of 2024, Ford sold about 9,500 of these. Tesla sold 390,000 of their electric cars the same quarter. They're competing with a company that sells a heck of a lot more. Now, as we get inside, sounds relatively solid. Now, power start, the Mustang goes. It's getting ready. Now, as we look around, I gotta say, you can do things with your fingers, or I like this because look, you can do the temperature with a dial too, so you don't have to keep pushing buttons. I like that. Now, that's a good design, I'll give them that. And unlike a Tesla where you gotta search forever for stuff, there's the fan, right? You can easily go low, high, simple thing to do. We'll put it on low so it doesn't make too much noise. Now, what I like is, look, it's got a regular dash, shows your speed and stuff, the speed limit outside, and as you can see, it does have a screen, and the screen is relatively intrusive on the flow of the dash. It's kind of like an add-on thing. But unlike a Tesla, You don't have to keep looking over here. You get the information in front of you like a regular car. And like a regular car, I gotta give it to Ford. Here's your turn signal. It's not some stupid button you gotta look for, right? Here's your wipers, just like a regular car, right? The locks are like a regular car. The power windows are like a regular car. I do say it's better designed for regular drivers than the Tesla. All in all, hey, it's set up more like a car. I like that aspect of it a lot more than a Tesla. You don't have to do the screen the whole time. You know, you got lights here, you want brights, you hit them there. You want to squirt, you put your squirters on. Let's face the facts, it's a lot easier to mess around with some stupid screen. And the seats are pretty comfortable. Nice little slide there, like an old desk. You can charge your phone right there directly. And there's a reasonable amount of seat in the back. Look at those tiny little windows in the back, though. Little baby ones. Opaque sunroof. It's big, you know. So let's check the outside here. We'll see what kind of space the trunk has. There she goes. Got a reasonable amount of space. And if you put the seats down, you got a lot more space too. And of course, it closes itself. Now, being the Mach-E extended range, it's got dual motors, so it goes 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. That's pretty fast. Now, it's a lot torquier than it is horsepower. The GT has a lot more than the regular ones by far. You get in a regular one compared to this. This is much faster. So let's take this baby for a spin. Put it in reverse, and it's got the great backup, which you can see. You can also see the side. That's very handy because we are very close to the edge here. It's going to warn us because there's poles and everything in the way. You can see it's close to that pole, just warning us that we're very close to there. But with this, we know we're not going to hit anything other than the leaves that are sticking out. It's a good warning system, I gotta say. Then when you drive, you just put it in drive like any other car. Of course, it's super quiet. And it's got the usual speed limit in your area, what speed you're going. And you don't have to look over here. It's all in front, just like the turn signals. Look, regular car turn signals. None of this nonsense of having to reach over here like in a Tesla. It has regenerative braking. It's not as aggressive as a Tesla. It rides more like a normal car. And it corners quite well. You can pretend you're in a Mustang looking at the front. The view's kind of like it. Of course, the back's different, but got a nice smooth ride, I'll give it that. Cut all the trees down. They're building more houses here in Clarksville. So now comes the true test. We're coming up to our little drag strip here. We'll come to a complete stop because there's nobody behind us. Let's see what this baby can do. It's quick. But let me tell you, it is not Tesla quick. It's not even as fast as that Volvo that I tried out the electric car. Because if you hit a Tesla like this goes, but it doesn't really throw you in the back of the seat. And truthfully, if I was in a souped up V8 Mustang with a gasoline engine, it would blow the doors off of this thing. Quick, but for what it is, it's not really all that quick. I realize this is the dual motor one. Extended range, right? And like I said, watch, I'll step on the gas. And it goes, but it really doesn't throw me in the back seat. I'm kind of disappointed with the acceleration of this thing. I'll tell you that right now. I can see why these things aren't selling. They really aren't super fast. It rides okay, but I'm really disappointed in the acceleration of this thing. We stop on it, it goes, but it's not super insane like a Tesla. If they're trying to sell these things to people that want all kinds of speed, I'm disappointed at what this thing does. Totally. It goes, but hey, it's not super fast. It is an SUV, and it doesn't have the get up and go that other electric cars I've driven. Like I say, that Volvo was a lot quicker than this thing. That's probably another reason these things aren't selling all that well. Realize that this thing is 2,000 pounds lighter than the F-150 Lightning electric truck that I'm gonna make a video on. It's all that much lighter. I expected it to be quicker. I mean, I step on the gas, it goes, but it doesn't throw you back in the seat. I can understand why this brand new car that was built in the middle of 2023 is still for sale in 24 and the 25 models are coming out. You're gonna have a hard time selling these things. Not really. It handles the twisties fine, and it cruises, well enough. You would just think that with two electric motors, this thing would have more brass balls than this thing has. It's just as underpowered as far as I'm concerned. So what's my conclusion? I am underwhelmed. I thought this thing was going to be a lot faster than it was. It had some nice design features and stuff, but Ford's having a really hard time selling these. Now I know there's a lot of reasons why. All right, here it is, the Silverado, the electric pickup truck. Long time ago, Chevy had the S10 EV. They made less than 500 of them. They had 1,300 pounds of lead acid batteries. This, of course, is modern battery system. Weighs almost 1/3 of what the vehicle weighs, and the vehicle weighs more than 3 tons, 8,800 pounds. That's a lot of weight. It's more than 4 tons. It is one heavy vehicle. Now, unlike the Ford Lightning EV truck, which is basically a F-150 turned into an electric vehicle, this was actually designed as an electric vehicle. It's got the base frame of the Hummer shortened down, the electric Hummer, not the gasoline one, of course. And so it was actually made as an electric vehicle. It wasn't an afterthought like the Ford was. And then Ford said, we're going to have a whole new redesigned pickup truck, but now they're kind of thinking, we're kind of having a problem selling these things. Maybe we'll make that new one right away. Now, they're not giving these things away. They're super expensive. You want to get a fancy one? I looked them up. They start at $91,000, but I also looked locally, and guess what? One of them was listed all the way down to $67,000. And you might think, $91,000 vehicle, $61,000. Why? Why? Because people aren't buying them. If they were selling them, they'd be like the Cybertrucks originally were, where people were buying them and then selling them for $150,000. Those days are gone for the Cybertruck. Well, those days never really came for this. The Hummers, yeah, that's a completely different ball game. The mythical Hummer, they were going for tons of money and stuff. But this is a Silverado pickup truck. They weren't that popular yet. Nobody knows if they will or they won't, because of course it's an electric vehicle. I know people who have them and they say they can get 450 or so normal driving. And that's not bad. Now, it takes a while to charge up the battery, but 450 is not bad. But they also told me that if we're towing the heavy loads, they can tow a lot because batteries and electric motors have a lot of torque. But when they do tow, their range is cut by more than half. And that's if it's normal. Go to Canada where it's freezing cold in the winter, it's going to tow even less. The problem is people get a big truck, they expect to do big things with it, and if they start doing big things, the range starts going down. Now, these are all-wheel drive. It's 2024, so you're definitely not going to get stuck. With the computer systems and the motors and the wheels, you'll be able to have any wheel turn any which way, so you're going to get out of sticky situations. There's no arguing that. And as you can see, it's a real truck. It's got truck clearance. You can mess around with it with the suspension system if you want, but basically it has a nice high stand, so it's not like an electric vehicle that's low to the ground. You're going to scrape the battery. You're going to get stuck if you go off-road in it. Not that I advise people to take 8,800-pound electric vehicles off-road. I mean, there are big rocks, boulders. The battery, of course, is on the bottom. That's the only place you could put it. If the battery was higher, it weighs so much, the thing would topple over. It would handle like garbage. So they all have them on the bottom. Of course, there's no exhaust pipe. It's an electric vehicle. Got independent suspension back here. We'll see how it rides when we take it for a road test. And the rest of the vehicle, when you look under there, it's all sealed, of course, because the battery's got to be sealed from the elements. Look, it's a real pickup truck. It has a spare tire. Take our first look inside. There's the little sticker. This particular one was a Fleet, and it's priced at $74,800. Oh, well, listen to the build. Sounds pretty solid, I gotta say. We're gonna have electronic stuff up the wazoo here, of course. Now, what I like is this is your climate control, and it's pretty simple. It shows you everything is, but it looks like an old style AM/FM radio when I was young. But instead, it's operating the fans and everything. Putting the fan up and down, I don't have to search for a billion things. There's a button for it. Yay for buttons. It has a real steering wheel. Check it out. Not some crazy yoke. And it's got buttons for your electric parking brake, pop things open. I love this. It isn't all just here like in the Tesla where you think you're driving a computer. It's still got your speedometer in the front. Now, this thing's only got 3,532 miles on it. Let's look under the hood. Where's the engine? But you can see it's got a pretty big frunk. Comes with a little charger here. Hey, 220 charger, so that's nice. Now with that giant battery, you gotta use at least the level 2 220 charger. You plug this thing into your house at 110 volts. It would probably take days to fully charge the battery. Realize that. You gotta go level 2 or a supercharger to charge these things up. The battery is 1/3 the weight of the vehicle, and the vehicle weighs 8,800 pounds. So we're talking super heavy, super dense. It's GM's Ultium battery. See if these hold up over time. I haven't seen any of them start on fire yet, I'll give them that. But on the other hand, they've only sold a few thousand of these things. They sold less than 500 of the electric S10s. The last time I looked on these, it was like 6,800 or something they sold in the last quarter, so they're not selling that many of them. If you don't know, there are electric batteries in here. There's a 12-volt battery. Gee, how they got a 12-volt battery to make this thing run? Boy, there's a miracle of engineering. Actually, it's for safety reasons. The big giant battery can't ground the body, because if it did, you touch the body, you would be instantly electrocuted. But that, when you get in the car with the old module, 12 volts starts to send power to the computer. It decides, okay, is everything okay? Is it not too hot, not too cold? Electricity starts going through the system through various transformers and switches. But if that 12-volt battery goes bad, you're screwed. So even though it's got a little battery in here and a big battery on the whole bottom of the car, you got to check it as they age, because if that little battery goes bad, guess what? It won't start. Realize they still have tiny little batteries in them. You got to watch them every once in a while if you buy one of these things. It's all-wheel drive, and I got to say, it's got a nice style. My neighbor came over and he said he wished they made the regular pickup trucks like this. He's not in love with electric trucks, but he likes the look of this thing. Now, I think he likes it because, see, he owns a Hummer, and this is based on the electric Hummer. The chassis shortened a little, so instinctually, I think he's drawn towards this thing, but he doesn't like electric vehicles, kind of like me. We'll see how it runs. It might be a great running vehicle. I liked that Volvo electric car that I checked out here last year. I thought it was a great car, and this kind of reminds me of it because it's got a regular speedometer, it's got regular headlight switches and stuff, not some computer console you gotta look at, so when you're driving it feels like a regular car. And I like the Volvo because of that. It's an electric car, so I'll probably never buy one. And many people agreed with me, because once it went for $67,000 new, when they're a year old, they're going for $27,000. So it's kind of telling you, people that are trying them out are like, yeah, not really my cup of tea. Of course, when you're dealing with pickups, it's completely different. They want to be able to tow, go all over the place, not be stranded. Will they hold up over time? Only time will tell. They just started selling these things, right? But of course, the real stinker for most people is, how are you going to get it fixed when it breaks? They try to say the stuff about electric cars that, oh, electric cars are simpler, they have less maintenance, blah, 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 blah. Actually, it's been proven that they're more expensive. The Teslas that have been out now for over 10 years, they're one of the most expensive cars to repair, because their complexity is up the yin-yang. Did a little research on this before it came over on my old data system, right? And I said, gee, I wonder how you figure out what's wrong with the air conditioner. And it says, well, it has these codes, but unfortunately, there's no information on how further you can go from these codes, that if it's got an air conditioning heat pump compressor failure, it just tells you replace it. And these things are expensive as can be, right? They're super expensive. They don't have a thing that, oh, well, check this. No, they just say, okay, that's not working, replace the compressor assembly. Then they have what they call a PEI, which is all the power module and computers that activate it. The stuff is expensive. And you know, eventually it's going to break. And is there anyone on this planet that really knows how to fix them? Not too many people do. That's one of the big downfalls. People, especially truck guys, you see a lot of old trucks, right? Driving down the road because guys fix them, or they have a friend that knows how to fix them. They've been fixing them for decades. Well, let's see what happens when these things start to get old. People are real leery. The used market for electric vehicles is almost sunk to the bottom of the pit now, because people are finding out, oh, gee, I bought this used Tesla. What a deal. Then they find out the battery went bad and it's going to cost them $16,000, right? It leaves people with a weird taste in their mouth that, I got to say, the people I know that have bought these electric pickup trucks, it was always the first truck they ever had because they wanted to try it out. I have yet to meet anybody who had an F-150, a Silverado, a Dodge Ram that went out and bought an electric version of a pickup. I haven't seen a single person. Now, if you are one of these people, come visit me. I'd love to talk to you. You know, maybe talk some sense into you. I don't know. But let's see how this thing runs. Here we go. We'll put it in reverse. Look how easy that was. We got the overhead view, like we got a drone. And of course it's super quiet, except for the strange noise that it has to make, because it's an electric vehicle. And as I said before, I like it because it has a real speedometer, right? Look, it has real turn signals. You don't have to search on the screen to figure out how to turn the AC on or how to turn the turn signals. Like now, I'm sweating to death, so I'm gonna turn the fan up. Look, I just have to push a button. And it does have the independent suspension. Let's see how it handles. Ooh, you wouldn't think you were in a truck. That's the one thing they really handle much better than a normal pickup truck. They don't have all the weight in the front. So here we go down Tobacco Road. Nobody's over there. Nobody's over there. We'll just tootle along so that car gets in front of us. Now this thing does weigh like 8,800 pounds, right? It's one heavy monster. Now there's nobody behind us, so let's step on the gas. For a big heavy truck, hey, takes off really fast. There's no arguing that. Now, it weighs 8,800 pounds. And I do have to say, the Tesla Cybertruck is much faster than this thing. I don't know what they can give statistics on here or there, but I've driven them both. And it's much faster than this thing is. But this is a big Silverado truck. And I mean, anybody who's driving this thing around, you're probably going to be more than happy with that acceleration. Come up to the corner here. It says we're supposed to go 20 and we won't. I'm assuming it's not going to have any problems because it feels fine. That independent suspension with these electric motors, I got to say, it holds the road pretty good. Look, we're going 44 and it's supposed to go 25. No problems at all. I have to say, driving it around, I do like the layout. The heating system's simple. Dials, turn signals, simple. A knob, gear shift, there it is. Reverse, drive, neutral. Can't complain. It's set up. Anybody can get in this thing and drive it. You don't need a PhD in computer science to drive the stupid thing around. And it is smooth. Handles smooth. Nice and quiet. I don't hear poorly built parts rattling or anything like I did on a lot of Teslas. And if you noticed at the beginning of the video, they don't want this to stand out. Looks like a pickup truck. And what does it say? It says Chevrolet on the back. And the E is a little different to show it's electrified, but it's not shining out electric car, no. Any pickup guy sees it's not, we're just gonna think it's a Chevy pickup truck. You can see plenty of room. Of course, it's got all electrical outlets and stuff that you can run on it. But I gotta say, I like it. They didn't go overboard. This is all mechanical. You push it, pull it, simpler, less things to break. Okay, so what do I think about it? I like the way it runs. I like the way it drives. I really like the way it looks. Looks like a regular pickup truck. Only it's got a little bit more style. It's just that it's an electric pickup truck and they're having a hard time selling them because they want convenience, they want to be able to go all over the place. Generally, they want to tow and haul a lot. Now, this can tow and haul an awful lot. It's just that you're going to run out of electricity a heck of a lot faster then. And then you're going to have to plan it all to have a place to get it charged up. And it's going to take a while to charge a battery that's this big when it gets that low. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. That's why it comes with the 220 charger. Just like the Hummer, it's kind of overpriced. There's no arguing that, but all the electric stuff's overpriced these days. Maybe one day they'll figure out how to make smaller ones in a price range that people are going to buy. Look what Ford did with their Maverick. They made a little truck. Everybody said nobody wants little trucks. They're selling like hotcakes because they got a little truck at a good price and people are buying them. 4 doors. They ride nice. They have independent suspension like this. Maybe GM should start thinking smaller. Maybe make a small one. And they probably would sell them. Be a lower price. Wouldn't have as big of a battery. And if it was designed like this thing, people aren't going to complain about the looks. It just looks like a nice truck. It doesn't look like some spaceship Cybertruck going across the universe, leaving pieces falling off it while it goes down the road. Hey, I like it. If only it wasn't an electric truck. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.